I know I'm a little late with the August layoff video, but please forgive me. I'm here with the complete list organized by what kind of industries have been laying off. So let's get rolling. But as a reminder, please subscribe to my channel. And this is the month I said I thought I would see an increase in layoffs, and I think I'm right. Let's take a look. Starting off with, I have these in categories. The first category being e-comm. We have ClassLink, online education, unknown amount of number laid off. Edmodo, e-education network. 100% of the company laid off. The company went out of business. In past months, I saw higher numbers for education online, those kind of companies laying off, and the trend is continuing. Next, I have cybersecurity, another really popular category in past videos from June and July. I have Malwarebytes laying off 14% of its staff. We have Latch, 37% of staff, and this is not their first layoff this year. Tuffin, 10% of its staff, and Okta, 1% of its staff. It is a larger company, so 1% is significant. Next, I have food as a category, and in previous videos, I saw a lot more food delivery services or food websites were laying off. This month, we have Beyond Meat, the food company that makes the fake meat, laid off 5% of its staff, which is rather surprising. The company has been doing really well. We have Daily Harvest, which has food delivery, like healthy food delivery, laying off 15% of its staff. Fresh Direct, a grocery delivery company, I recognize their logo, 1% of their staff. And Sweet Greens, which is a really great company that does food for corporate events, they have an unknown amount of people laid off. In the entertainment category, I have Fubo TV, a streaming service, unknown amount. StubHub, an e-ticket company, unknown amount. Jam City, a video game company, laid off 17% of its staff. That's a lot of people, and Jam City is almost always hiring, it seems, so I'm surprised to hear that. We have On Deck, a professional networking site. I consider this entertainment, 33%. Please don't tell me you're not entertained by LinkedIn sometimes. And we have Peloton, which is a fitness company. Maybe entertainment is not the right category, but again, they are laying off 13% of their staff now and increasing prices across the board. Peloton is struggling, so maybe now is not the time to start a workout fitness company. The next category is real estate. Another repeat category from previous months. It is a bit smaller this month, but we have Doma Real Estate Tech laying off 13% of its staff. Relly, a real estate buy and sell company, is completely out of business now. Homeward Real Estate Refinancing, 20% of its staff. And Genesis, an e-brokerage company, 20% of its staff. Next category is investment/financial company, another repeating category that is smaller than previous months. We have House, a real estate financing company. Maybe that should go in the real estate category. Let me know your thoughts below. Daily Pay, online payment service, 15% of staff. Oh, that House with real estate financing, 100% of staff. It went out of business. We have Stripe payment processing, 14% of staff. That's a big deal. Stripe is a big payment processing platform for a lot of e-comm, Shopify, WooCommerce websites. Blend, online financial services, 12% of staff. And Petal, a financial company, unknown amount of people laid off. And now another repeating category in previous months with a healthy amount of 8 companies. I have data AI/cloud technologies, starting off with Seagrid, autonomous robots, 35%. I hope you guys can see why I put robots in AI, but Puppet is an infrastructure tool. It actually is a bit of an outdated tool now that's been replaced by things like Docker containers, but they laid off the company that hosts the Puppet, the company that I guess owns Puppet, the tool, laid off 15% of staff. Impressive. Labelbox, a data automation service. Now they automatically label things on maps so that AI abilities can progress faster. I personally know that company. It was interesting. I actually know the people who founded this company, and a lot of them were just kids from good families who went to good colleges, who got out of school and either got funding for Labelbox, and another person had worked at Dropbox and product for a few years, but definitely founded by people who had just a lot of opportunity in general. So it's interesting to see now that they're laying off. It's a really small company. I think that a lot of these tech companies and startup companies in the Bay Area, like Labelbox, are going to come to reality soon that it takes a lot more than just being ambitious to make something happen. Back in the startup boom, which I would say was like 2015 to 2018 or 19, I'm not an expert on it, but I definitely can say a ton of companies have been founded by people who had good families, went to good schools and got out and were ambitious and got funding and founded million-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies. That has definitely happened to a lot of people in the Bay Area, and that was easier to do when VC money was both cheaper and easier to get. Back then, there was a lot of people who had money from working at Google for 5 to 10 years already. They already were millionaires, and they had no place to invest their money but maybe the stock market or real estate. So they saw the startup boom as a great way to get rich even faster, and a lot of people got rich, like from Airbnb. I know a founding engineer from Airbnb who's just balling after working for the company for only 2 years, probably doesn't need to work again. And so now that the economy is changing, we're likely going to see a lot of these people who were once the high-paid tech people that had all the VC money to invest. Well, suddenly they might have callbacks from some of the stock options that they had made. Perhaps they need to sell a house because there's been water damage, there's been a divorce in the family, or they just simply don't want to keep up the burden of renting out the house. A lot of things can impact those high-paid, wealthy individuals during an economic downturn. They are not immune to it just as much as we are not immune to it too. Labelbox is a great example of the kind of startups I think we're not going to see as much anymore in the next few years, simply because the economy is down, and I think people are tired of betting money in a VC sense on these companies. Labelbox is actually solving a problem and is a business tool that people need, and even they are laying off. Imagine all these other companies that have created a solution for a problem that is relatively minor. Now they're having to deal with that problem. Also in the data AI/cloud category, iRobot laid off 10% of their staff. Updater data transfer for consumers unknown amount. Data Robot AI cloud vendor 26% of staff. And New Relic, which is a big company, a data software tool, 5% of its staff. Next we have healthcare, which is a repeating category in other months. This month we have 10 healthcare companies, but we had more in the past. Not surprising to hear that after a global pandemic, some healthcare companies are going to start laying off. And I know some of these were actually founded during the COVID, at least last month. They had a lot of testing companies that were founded during the uprise of COVID in like 2020, and now they're all laying off. Well, this month we have healthcare.com, which is a big healthcare website, laid off 147, which is a significant number. It's a company that's between 200 to 500 people. Melody, which is a healthcare network, you can go on to network with other professionals, possibly get job leads, laid off 16% of its staff. Go Health, a healthcare company, don't really know what they do, 20% of their staff laid off. Maybe that's why they're laying off. They don't have good marketing. Vendetta Bioscience, it's a gut ecosystem drug company. So they design drugs for your healthcare problems based on your gut biome. I actually hear from dietitians that this is kind of pseudoscience, but they are laying off 20% of their staff. Berkeley Lights, a digital biology company, laid off 12% of its staff. Zigerman, a biotech company, 17% of staff. TruePill, an e-pharma company, could technically be called an e-comm company. I'm calling it a healthcare company, laid off 33% of its staff. That's a third of the company. We have 30 Madison, which sounds like a fashion company, but it's not. It's a healthcare for the chronically ill company, 10% of its staff. Contrafee, a drug discovery company, 37% of staff. It's impressive to see these drug companies are laying off because, one, the healthcare industry expected to grow after COVID. During COVID, a lot of these healthcare companies that were up and coming had to pause a lot of their projects. They had to make COVID the primary focus, and obviously the vaccine and its distribution. So a lot of people in the healthcare industry were hoping that there would be a big boom in drug discovery, for example, or just advances in the healthcare industry after COVID, because they had lots of time off. People are bored. Let's get back to it. But when we're going into an economy that's struggling, well, that's going to be another wrench in the problem of the kind of outdated healthcare system we have now and the problems involved with it. Finally, for healthcare, in the mental health aspect, we have Calm, the meditation app, laying off 20% of its staff. Next category is e-comm. Not that surprising. People are not spending as much money on life, but we have Vroom, a car e-comm marketplace. 33% of staff. That's a third of the staff. People are just not buying cars. Groupon laid off 500 people. That's 15% of its staff. Weed Maps, a cannabis company. I'm calling it e-comm because it's online and selling products. 10% of its staff. Warby Parker, an eyeglass company, laid off 2% of its staff, which is a significant number for the size of the company. Shift Car e-comm marketplace, unknown amount laid off. ThreadUp, it's a fashion e-comm, 15% of staff. Woven, a rug company, 15% of staff. Wayfair, e-comm, 6% of staff. Packable, it's an e-comm tool / platform. Questionable if that's the right category, 20% of staff. And Pix, a wine discovery company, unknown amount of staff. And the final category that we have this month, which is another repeating category you've seen in other months, but this month it's the leading star, the biggest category, whereas in past months it's been a runner-up. We have business automation tools, just companies that create tooling that's software or platforms, whatever it is, that help businesses run better and automate processes. Now, I don't know if that sounds like a broad category to you. To me, it sounds specific. We have Perceptive Automotive. It's a business automation tool. Went out of business completely, 100% of staff. Steady, APL platform as a service, 30% of staff. Outreach, a business automation tool, 5% of staff. That's a sales tool. Nihilus, a business automation tool, a fourth of the company, 25% of its staff. The Org, an HR company, 19% of staff. Ring Central, that's a phone system that you can go online and track everything. Business automation tool, 1% of its staff, which is still a significant number because they have about, I think it's 3,000 to 4,000 people in the company. So 1% is still going to be a lot of people. Tall Desk, customer service as a software as a service. Talk Desk, customer service software as a service, is laying off unknown amount. Slink, a logistics company, unknown amount. Shogun is an e-comm automation tool, 30% of its staff. I put that in here because it's not a platform, it's just a tool. We have Melio, business automation tool, 10% of staff. ShipBob, e-comm fulfillment company, 7% of staff. Impact.com, business automation tool, 10% of staff. Nutanix, I'm not saying that right. Nutanix, cloud software as a service, 4% of its company. Guidewire, cloud business automation tool, 2% of its staff. Kaltura, business cloud automation tool, again, 10% of staff. Almanac, business automation tool, unknown amount of staff. And Orbit, a business automation tool, unknown amount of staff. Now, those are the big categories. I have 4 other miscellaneous companies. 4Kites, a supply chain intelligence company, 8% of staff. When I started doing the layoff videos in June, supply chain companies and logistic companies were actually laying off the most. So that trend is almost out. We have Tempo Automation, a manufacturing platform as a service, laying off almost half of the staff at 47%. And I did see more manufacturing companies laying off in earlier months. It looks like the direction has moved from the physical delivery of products to the online aspect. I don't know if I want to keep that. I have Palto, software as a service, 50% of staff. I've never heard that company, but that is some growing pains. If you're letting go of 50% of the staff, that means things are not growing the right way. Loop car insurance, 20% of staff. Now, in previous months, you saw that a lot more car companies were laying off, both car insurance companies and car e-commerce place. But, despite what LinkedIn says, that things are changing in the economy, especially hiring for jobs. And clearly, a lot of these companies are laying off. I just went onto LinkedIn a few minutes ago, and it's interesting to see, just a month ago, I had candidates telling me that they were in demand, that there's plenty of jobs for them, no one's laying off. Everyone online was saying, oh, well, he got let go from Apple, but he got a job the next week. And you saw that online on LinkedIn, people talking about how there's so much competition to hire these newly laid off FANG employees. Well, back then I was saying, okay, enjoy the fun now. You can go see on my previous videos, I say it's good now, so make your moves while you can, because it's going to come down the ladder. First, you have the FANG employees getting laid off, their salary reduced, or just hiring reduced in general. Then it's going to come to other companies. And if you've been on LinkedIn lately, you know that they have the latest layoff updates on a regular basis, and things are changing. You have the FANG companies, you have cool startups, you have the big corporate companies, and you have everyone else that kind of sucks. That's a kind of generalization there, but FANG companies we heard that were laying off: Amazon, Google, Facebook, Meta, Netflix. All of them were either laying off, reducing staff, increasing the workload or expectations on their team. As famously said by Zuckerberg, that some people who shouldn't be at the company were going to get let go. We heard about that weeks ago. Now I'm hearing in the news we have the cool big FANG companies. Now, you've been listening to my videos, you know that the cool not FANG startups have been laying off. You've heard them in this video. So 1, 2, next is the big corporate companies, and we hear that T-Mobile is laying off. Bed Bath & Beyond cut 28% of its corporate staff, so that's no one in stores. Snapchat laid off 20% of its staff. I would call that a kind of FANG type company, but Ford is a big corporate company that is above it's cooler than a lot of the other corporate companies. Laid off 3,000 both full-time and contract workers. I know Ford particularly likes to hire people fresh out of grad school or fresh out of college that seem really bright and massively overpay them in their first college job. They definitely create this environment of employees that have really unreasonable salary expectations. Apple has laid off 100 of its contract-based recruiters. Oof, I am shivering in my boots a little bit as a recruiter, but I feel a little bit stable in my company. Apple goes crazy with its recruiting. They contract out bundles of recruiting. So does Google. It's not that easy to hire, and so a lot of these companies will just outsource it. They already have recruiters hitting them up every day trying to milk money out of the recruiting system, so why not just outsource the whole thing? We also have laying off HBO, Best Buy, Walmart, Robinhood, and Oracle. And Oracle's not even the cool corporate company. Oracle's kind of whack, but they say that they are letting go of an unspecified number of employees. So like I've been saying, I think things are going to increase. Yes, we saw bigger numbers in August, but I'm looking forward to see how the end of the year wraps up, and I would expect these August numbers to not repeat until next year in February or March. I don't know why something's tickling my ear saying that March is going to be a difficult month for the economy and a lot of people. So that's why I'm saying the end of Q1. Generally, you don't have a lot of big layoffs coming right after the holidays. They're going to lay you off before holidays happen if they're trying to save money, because paying people to be on holidays is cheap, and people don't really rev up into the job. Business doesn't really get going at least until the second week of July, if not all the way to February. So companies are definitely hacking people now before they have to do that holiday pay. That is why I expect these layoffs to slow down in November and December. I personally have seen employees laid off or fired on the first day of December just so that they could avoid the Christmas pay. So you might see this one-off happen, but please subscribe to my channel so you can be up to date on all the layoffs and what's coming up next. Please call me out if I'm right about this stuff. I've been talking mad game about unemployment numbers rising, and as you can see for yourself in unemployment numbers, well, they haven't really gone up that much. I think there's a lot impacting there. For example, in unemployment numbers, they don't consider what type of employment it is. So if you have 2 part-time jobs, it's going to make the unemployment numbers look lower because they assume it's 2 full-time jobs. where you could maybe only be working 15 hours each. That's 30 hours maximum. You're not full-time employed, and you're definitely not unemployed, but when the numbers, it makes it seem like things are really going good for you, especially as people are having to spend more with inflation. Well, it just makes it look like people are getting richer. And if you have to work two jobs to be able to afford inflation, well, it looks like you're making more money, but the numbers don't really show the truth. So if you want to know the truth, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Also, please check out a video I just finished about LinkedIn gaslighting you, telling you that your job search is easier than it is. Don't listen to people who make money off of your job search. Listen to people like me. I'm doing this for free for you online. I don't make any money off of you. And if you do better in your career, you're more likely to spend your free time improving your career, watching channels like this about tech recruiting, tech, and the job search. I'm sure I'm repeating myself in this video, but thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.